You're listening to Live Wild Radio, the part-time adventure podcast.
Join us as we explore how outdoor adventures build mind, body, and spirit. Welcome back to Live Wild Radio. I'm Catherine. I'm joined here by Winston.
That's me.
But before we get on to today's show about solo tripping, I think we gotta really dig a little deeper here into our partner, Giria. And I can say this because I've seen a massive transformation in Winston's physique, and apparently a lot of other women at his work have too, the clients. 3 times in 1 week they've been asking if you have a girlfriend.
Yeah. So 2 things happened. Number 1, I guess 3 things happened. Number 1, I built a little bit more muscle. I already had a fair amount.
Yeah.
Number 2, I lost a fair amount of fat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm down 20 pounds. So muscles up, fat's down.
And I helped him with dress.
And that's sort of the other one is that once I've lost weight, then she had me get T-shirts that fit me. Mm-hmm. Because I was lighter, so my extra large T-shirts are no longer needed. Now I have extra medium.
Exactly.
No, it's just down to larges, but they're like fitted shirts. So,
but really, all of this is coming down to 2 things: living with me and eating healthier.
Yep.
But finally, also showing off the muscles that you built with Giria fitness equipment.
Yeah, kettlebells and pull-up bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't get any credit for the floor.
No,
that's just push-ups. You know.
That's right.
But most of my training that's made the biggest difference has been double kettlebell complexes, right? So it's like using 2 kettlebells at once for a clean and press, front squat, clean and jerks, push presses, snatches.
Yeah, push pulls, hinges, all those movements that we talk about. But we'll dive into those details on another episode because it's worthwhile talking about. Meantime, we want to let you know that through us, you can get 5% discount. We partner with Giria. And for our U.S. friends, it is us.giria, Giria.
No, Great Lakes Giria.
Oh, well, you do it.
Okay. So either way, if you are in the States and you just type in greatlakesgiria.com, it will automatically take you to the U.S. site anyway. But it's us.greatlakesgiria.com. Canadians, just greatlakesgiria.com. They are in Kitchener, Ontario, which is just across the highway from where we live, or around the corner. Either way, it's very close to us. We go pick ours up. They don't have to even ship them to us. And use promo code LIVEWILD, all one word, for 5% off your next purchase. And they have kettlebells, dumbbells, barbells, squat racks, maces, and basically all the fun stuff you would need. I think they got pulling sleds and that kind of thing, battle ropes. Like if you want to build a totally kick-ass home gym, and they got their awesome pull-up bar. A commercial quality pull-up bar is $100 Canadian. Like it blew me away. Like when we got this thing in, and it's one of the multi-handled ones, so you can do parallel pull-ups. There's straight bar positions, angled bars. Like it's pretty awesome. So if you go visit them, obviously if you use our promo code, it's like saying, hey, my friends from Live Wild Radio sent you, and save a little money. And look forward to our future episode when we talk about the training I've been doing to up my sexy level.
And get some compliments and pickups.
Yeah.
Or not.
I basically declined all the pickups because I'm ecstatically happy at home, but it's still good.
So am I.
Yeah. Yeah, because she's got a guy who's looking good in his tight T-shirts.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's our commercial.
Anyways, so on to our show today. We're talking about solo tripping, and thought it was a great topic, something we haven't spoken about before, something that we've done and we've heard other people do. And you know what? I think there's a lot of fear in why people don't want to do it.
On their own.
Yeah. But so Winston, tell us, from your perspective, why do you like solo tripping?
Actually, at this point, I don't. I did so much of it when I was younger. Like,
why is it worth doing at least
so,
once?
Yes, I will.
How's that?
I saw an opportunity for humor. You know, I did so much stuff on my own that it's like, now it's like, I like having friends.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing you'll run into is self-reliance, or that was always what I felt.
I like that.
Right? Because, you know, you figure it out, you plan the trip, you pull it off, right? And there's something incredible as far as your confidence goes, that when you do a solo trip and you pull it off, right? Because you don't have anybody else there for support, right? You've had to dig deep. Not always. They don't have to be all the brutal sufferfests I tend to put myself through. But there is a great confidence that you carry into the other things in your life that comes from accomplishing things by yourself.
Absolutely. And on the trips that I've been on in the past with Winston, you know, he pretty much led them all, planned it all out. I was just along for the ride. Then we broke up.
No, you dumped me
years ago. And I didn't want to stop, solo tripping. Right. And so I'm like, I'm going to do this. And the one thing that really gave me the courage to do it was having an in-reach.
All the training I gave you before you dumped me.
Yeah. And I reached out to Katie, your AT partner, to spot me, because I knew she was fairly familiar on the ins and outs of where we were going.
Yeah, and she wouldn't, hold it. Maybe you didn't tell her you dumped me.
No, she might have held a grudge on me. Maybe. I don't think I did. Anyways, but I got an InReach Explorer. And for me, that was a huge safety blanket to feel more confident to go out and in the event of an emergency and for tracking navigation. Because I'm not good at I can't use a compass. Right?
Yeah, that's me failing as a teacher. Because not only have I taught you in person, you took one of my classes.
It takes practice.
Yes, and you don't practice. So just anybody, in case they're not familiar with an InReach Explorer, it's a device from Garmin that is a mapping GPS, but it also is a two-way satellite text communicator and an emergency locator beacon. So you can send messages to anybody, any cell number or email address, so that you can just keep your check-in buddy informed.
Yep.
And if you put your foot in a gopher hole and break your leg, you press the SOS button and the helicopter's coming.
Exactly.
And because it's a GPS, it knows where you are. So when you send out that SOS, the search and rescue just becomes a rescue because they don't have to search for you. Yeah,
which is one of the the biggest pieces about when you're in that situation, right? Is making it very clear to people where you are. Mm-hmm. And if you have a GPS coordinates, it makes it easy. It's actually also good for weather.
Gives you weather updates.
Which was pretty key on some of my, particular solo trips. But I will say, going back to Winston's point, how incredibly rewarding it is to be completely self-reliant. So it gave me the opportunity to exercise and implement all the things that he taught me and put into action. And I went on another trip with another girlfriend where I was actually the leader, and I was in the same boat, assessing everything, setting up a camp and making decisions. But I did a couple of trips, like a trip earlier before I even knew Winston. Everybody bailed out on me to go on a camping trip. And this is pre-kids, and I decided to go anyway. And it also really allows for an adventure. Like, think about it. When you're on a camping trip, backpacking trip, whatever, with somebody else or other people, you're constantly compromising. Like, do you know that feeling where like, oh, I want to stop and take this picture and take forever to take that picture, but then you feel bad. You're holding people behind, which is how I feel.
Or you want to cover more miles and everybody's slower than you.
Or you're really social and you want to talk to these people and chat, or you don't.
Yeah.
Just think how liberating that is, which I really love. And I remember...
You get to be selfish, like in a good way. In a good way.
Yeah. So I find that really good for you as an individual. I think everybody once a year should actually do a solo trip. And I don't care how long it is. It could be...
Do a weekend, do a week, whatever.
A weekend's perfect.
Yeah.
or you could do longer. But I think it's incredibly rewarding whether you're an extrovert or introvert. Introverts probably love it even more.
Yeah, because then they don't have to be around people that they stressed out.
It's really good for, even as an extrovert that I am, I found it really fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
It was really the idea that you could be selfish. And, you know, and there's also the type of trips too that you can be completely remote, see nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Or it just means that you're a trip of, you know, a group of one and you'll come across people, but then you get to choose if you talk to them or not.
Yeah.
And I will say, when you are solo tripping, you have better chances of meeting people and families or groups welcoming you in because you're on your own and they're like, oh, you're by yourself. Oh, you know, and then they'll instantly, most people want to like protect you and offer that to you if you want.
If it's the creepy guy with the van that's just got free candy scribbled on it, don't take any help from him.
No. But I did find that when I was on that trip.
Mount Marcy?
No, it was actually Morrison Trail. It was in...
where you ran into friends of ours.
I did, actually. I did. Yeah, Kirsten and her then boyfriend at the time. Yeah, that was really weird. And but I did run into other people that were pretty friendly with me and helping me out. You know,
well, it's because you're nice. People like you.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody helps me out.
No.
They go,
well,
look at that
they're
guy.
afraid of you.
Well, now they're, you know.
Now they're asking you out. They're wanting to feel your arms.
Yeah,
but
like getting groped by customers.
Yeah. So I will just lastly say I did the most amazing 24 hours solo experience when I went up from Cambridge, where we live in Ontario, to Tobermory. It's about 4 hours north. It's a great destination, super beautiful aquamarine water because it's all limestone. The bay, you know, what's in the
Georgian
water?
Bay.
Georgian Bay. And, you know, I had no reservations. I don't know what I was thinking. It was on a Saturday. I left at like 6 a.m., saw the sunrise, took beautiful shots along the drive up, no traffic, wound up at this place called, it's a hiking trail. And it'll come to me, Spirit Rock, just on your way up to Tobermory. And I went hiking, and I decided to take the off-beaten path. And where there was a bunch of poison ivy, because I knew people were going in the other direction and I didn't want to run into them. And I had long pants, so it was fine. And I took my hammock. And the best experience is that I was in a forest that had low growth of bush, like bushy growth. It was just tall, mature trees. Hung up my hammock, slept there for like 2 hours. It was the most peaceful thing ever. I mean, like, these are things you don't do with your friends because they want to go and you have a place to be. And
yeah, you're doing stuff.
Just whatever you want. And then I got up. When I was done that, I was super chill. Oh, let's go down to the beach, right? I ended up spending the entire afternoon there. I went to the beach, went skinny dipping. You know, it was just fun.
And you can do that with your friends, but they have to be really good friends.
Exactly.
Or on a survival course.
Right.
That's what you and...
Hey, I didn't know you guys were coming around the corner. Anyways, hey, it's legal.
Yeah? Oh.
Legal in Ontario. Anyways.
Well, not skinny dipping, just topless.
I was topless, yeah. And that's what I was doing, actually. I was just topless. Anyways, so then I got back into my car. I thought, okay, I better go find a campsite. It's like 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Get there at 5 and find out everything's sold out. I'm like, oh my God. And I said to the lady, because I had to go to a private campground instead of the provincial park because they were completely booked. I said, listen, I just need 2 trees. And that's the benefit. Like when and I would suggest that if you can get into hammock camping, and you should, I think, it makes it super flexible. So you can go anywhere. And she's like, I got ya. I'll put you by the barn because there were some horse stables there. And I had the best place. And I heard her talking to another couple about a secret cove that you go swimming, nobody goes, you can watch the sunset. I had the most amazing day. And then came back the next day, and that was it. And it was the most fulfilling, rewarding experience to be selfish and do whatever you wanted.
Yeah. I noticed that your story didn't involve any ice cream. No. It'd be a better story with ice cream.
I'm not like you.
I really like ice cream.
Yeah. No.
You know, if I'm having a selfish day on my own.
No, I love to swim.
Yeah.
Like, actually, whenever we're on backpacking trips, and you always talk about this, Catherine, what do you want to eat? And I'm like, I just want to go swimming. there's something about me in water.
Yep.
I find it so refreshing, and that's my reward is to go swimming.
Yeah. And, you know, it's funny because, like, she's gotten me into the water quite a bit, and I hate the water. You know,
so why do you come in the water?
Because I love you.
Oh.
No, but, you know, it's sort of a together thing. Because it's not that I hate the water. I hate getting in the water. I hate that of cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is refreshing.
Yeah.
You know, but like when your balls go up in your body and, you know, especially like I hate cold water on my back. Right? It's the same thing.
I don't like
like
it on my stomach.
Like if I'm riding and I've got like a rain shell on and then cold water runs down my back, like when it's raining. It's like, you know, I'm the dude that sort of can walk off broken bones, but like I turn into a giant like pansy when my cold water runs down my back.
Yeah.
You know, I suppose if I just do the big plunge.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you get over it. Give you like 10 seconds and then you're good.
Yeah. It's like just, you know, it's like rather than like slowly flay me, like just punch me in the face. You know.
Yeah.
That's my whole thing with swimming.
So.
Like I don't mind being, because, you know, we went to Port Burwell, went to the beach for the day. And once we got in the water, it was fine.
Yeah.
Right? We hung around in the water we ended up talking to a dude.
Yeah.
And we were talking in the water for probably half an hour. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
It was the getting in there.
Oh, yeah, it always is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
You know.
Yeah, well.
So but, you remember the good part. I remember the cold part.
Well, there's always that, but it's very refreshing. So you must get this question at the store a lot, like people wanting to go solo adventuring.
Yep.
Do you? So what are the fears people have that you think we can address here?
So when we're talking backcountry stuff, bears, I think is the number one. Number two is, especially for solo women, is like, is there going to be like bad people who like do bad things to me out there? You know, and I think the risk of bad people in the backcountry, not that bad people don't do things in the backcountry. It's just in the grand scheme of things, you run into so few people that the odds of some predator, you know,
they're looking for easy targets.
Yeah, and also like the odds of somebody who's like some sort of predator also be, but I'm really into backpacking. You know, so that they're going to get out, you know, get all the gear together.
They need to get in and get out when they're going to do something.
You know, so I think the problem is there's so many horror movies that involve people in the woods. Yeah. Right? It just artificially scares people. And, you know, on the bear thing, if for your peace of mind you want to carry bear spray, have at it. I never do. Realistically, making a bit of noise as you hike means you'll probably never see a bear.
Yeah, we're talking about black bears.
Black bears, not grizzlies.
Yeah.
But Eastern North America, where we hang out most of the time, if you see a grizzly bear, it got out of the zoo. So basically, like I said, if you want, carry bear spray, like bells or something on your backpack, will tend to keep a lot of animals away. Right? Because it's a metallic, unnatural sound and it carries. And then, you know, it really comes into managing your food, right? So don't sleep where you eat. You know, try to prepare and eat your food at least 20, 30 meters away from where you're going to sleep at night. And then properly store your food at night. So whether that means a bear hang, which I'm not a huge fan of, but we've done it before and it works, or a bear-resistant canister, either way, 100 meters away from your camp.
Yeah, and I always take napkins so that when I'm eating my food, if I spill anything on me, generally goes on the napkin. Yeah. If I get like a food on my clothing for some reason,
change your clothes.
Just change your clothes
and put your clothes in the bear canister.
Yeah, you know, that stuff you can hang in another bag if you don't want to put it in the canister or whatever. But those tips really work well. And I've even had once at a lean-to. That's a 3-sided hut. So you're completely exposed, right? And I heard there were bears around, and we had our food and bear canisters. I heard in the middle of the night, I'm pretty certain it was a bear, just sniffing,
Yeah.
you know, and then it walked away.
Yeah.
So
Good
and I was
man.
there with my kids.
Yeah.
So I was a very light sleeper, listening for things, and I asked other people to join us, so we weren't alone.
Yeah.
But anyways, so keep in mind that when you are solo camping, if you are fearful, like extremely fearful, maybe not go backcountry the first time. Just go on a camping trip where there's other people around.
Yeah.
And camp alone. And you can even go into the quiet zone where it's even quieter and you're more spread apart from other campsites for the feeling of remoteness. But I think that will help build a lot of confidence. I would also suggest wearing earplugs at night. I know you disagree because you like to know what's going on. But I've had times where in campgrounds, every drop of water, everything's amplified. Chipmunks. You think everything's outside your tent and it's big. Mm-hmm. And you can't get sleep. And that's like not fun.
Yeah, I would personally rather hear, like be woken and hear what's going on if there is something real, and I guess part of what I run into is that I've done this enough that my brain will only wake up to big things.
Yeah, I just think for people who are super nervous to start.
Yeah.
And
just
just
put your fingers in your ears and go la 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 la.
Seriously, I would take earplugs just so that you can get comfortable.
Yeah, if you're in like a paid campground, like a provincial park, state park, national park, sometimes your neighbors are noisy anyway, so it's not bad advice. I would probably recommend it against earplugs in the backcountry. Unless I'm going with you. Back in the day when you used to snore a lot. See, Catherine lost weight and the snoring's gone away. So
yeah, I think that one's debatable.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's definitely a piece of it. I think another one is people are afraid of getting lost, and we talked about the idea of using an aid like a InReach, Garmin InReach Explorer. But certainly, the key to getting, first of all, you have a route. Have a route.
Yeah.
Let other people know before you go what your route is, when you expect to be back. And if you're going to have an InReach Explorer to communicate, use it.
Yeah.
Let people know. What I used to do was from the trailhead where I parked my car, something to my license plate, picture of my car, when I was going in, what time I left, where I was going to, what was the route, when I'm coming back.
Yeah.
What I personally did is each day I would track through my InReach Explorer my route. They could see live updates if they wanted to just go on and see where I was, and ask me questions. And then when I arrived at my campsite for the night, I'd mark it and say, arrived at my campsite. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere else.
Yeah.
The next day when I'm setting off for the next trek, I'll let them know I'm setting off. This is what I'm going to do. If I'm going to summit a mountain, come back. I let them know what the point is. And then when I've summited, let them know coming down.
Yeah.
Like that's how I did it. And I think it was pretty good. And it still allowed me to make changes on the fly and not commit to a schedule. So that's what I think the benefit of having ongoing communication is.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, it's still okay. But keep in mind that if you don't come out by the time that you said that you would, your friends should be calling. You should give them in advance the provincial park
phone number,
police, that you're expected back.
Yeah, whatever the first responders, search and rescue, that kind of thing of that area you're going to be in.
Yeah.
Research that ahead of time, and then whoever your check-in buddy, give them all of that information. Right, so then they're not trying to figure out, okay, who should I be getting in touch with? They know exactly who to get in touch with, and say they're able to say, my friend was supposed to check in at this time. They didn't. This is their route. This is where they went in. This was their itinerary.
Yeah.
So it makes, if they do have to search for you, it narrows it down dramatically.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. I will say I don't know if the new InReach Explorers are better.
Yep,
but the one that I have certainly tracks you with no delay or issue on where you are. But when it comes to sending and receiving messages, you have to have a clear view of the sky.
Yes.
So think about this. You're in a forest. You don't have a clear view of the sky. I had this several times that my messages were not going through and I wasn't getting messages on time. And what I didn't like was the fact that they weren't date stamped or time stamped.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I think that's a big deal. So it's
yeah,
something to keep in mind.
This technology
is limited.
Is a giant step forward from having nothing when you're in the backcountry. Mm-hmm. But it's still not like sending a message on your cell phone.
Right.
Right? Because it is sending to satellites 22,000 kilometers away.
And they have to triangulate, right? So,
well, that's just the GPS part of it. But the messaging, has to go up into outer space and then come back down to Earth. So you need, under some tree cover it can work, but
I didn't have much success.
But it depends on how dense the tree cover is. But if you can get a clear shot at the sky, you're going to get much better.
It's really hard to do though, because I'm like, oh my God. Like,
well,
where, know? So I will say the other benefit of having a GPS tracker is, say you see some wicked campsites that you want to mark for future, use. You can do that. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what I really liked about it. You can, in advance, plan if you know where you want to go, how long it's going to take, and you can mark it on software on your computer, and then it gets transferred to your GPS. So then it tells you where you are. And so I found it really handy for other uses, not just for emergency.
Oh yeah. Like because that's the thing that I like. The unit I would recommend people get now instead of the InReach Explorer is the Garmin 66i, the GPS Map 66i. Because it is similar to the Explorer in that it is a mapping GPS satellite communicator, an emergency locator beacon, but it's a bigger screen, better resolution, so that's just nicer to use. But it's got more memory. The preloaded maps are much higher quality. You have the ability to add maps. It has a micro SD chip slot, so you can add even more maps. And, so the functionality is dramatically improved. And it's got a faster processor and more powerful transmitter and all that stuff. So both your GPS reception is better and the message sending part of it is better. Because it's got a little more oomph.
Yeah.
Now, bear in mind, if you do have
how much does it retail?
$8.29 Canadian.
Canadian, okay.
So it's a little pricier than the InReach Explorer, but for the upgrades, to me, it's worth it because it's like the most current GPS with the InReach technology in it.
Yeah. It's quite popular, aside from the fact, that we use it and that's what we have. But pretty much a lot of major people that go out and, adventure, whether it be rock climbing or boating or whatever, it's quite good.
Yeah, and Garmin's built it into a number of devices now. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you're like on an ATV or snowmobile, you can get the 700i, which has a 5-inch screen and will run off the power of your vehicle. So it's too big to use like as a handheld for backpacking.
Right.
But if not all of your adventures have to be like us on foot. Right. So, anything that gets you well away from civilization, it's a good idea to have some sort of satellite communicator. Mm-hmm. And just bear in mind, though, they are battery operated. So just like your cell phone or anything else, it only works if it still has a battery charge. So we would recommend bringing like one of those little brick batteries that you can recharge your unit out in the field. Yeah. Then just make sure everything's fully charged when you go out on your trip.
Yeah. The battery power on my InReach Explorer is actually really good. Yeah. So I imagine their new one's excellent.
Yeah, anyway, So like you can probably do a whole week trip without charging it.
Yeah, I would say.
But I think it's belt and suspenders, right? Like we almost always, depending on where we're going, have that and maps, like paper maps and a compass.
Yeah. You never know what could happen, right? Pretty much in everything we do, whether it be for making fires, purifying water, in particular, we want to have duplicate, triplicate ways of doing things.
It's the old, like, 2 is 1 and 1 is none, so have 3.
So, I would definitely say, I don't want to deep dive into it now, but we can, when it comes to planning your trips and backpacking, we have some really good podcasts.
Yep, and some articles on it.
Articles all about that. All the things about the gear you want to bring. You got to remember you're one person, so weight of your gear, it should be fairly good. You don't want to be heavy and over carrying things.
Because the heavier your pack is, the more likely you are to get injured.
Oh, yeah. And you want to look at fitness and what you can do. Realistically, you should always underestimate, I think.
Yeah, especially when you're solo.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to finish a day completely fried if you've got to do it again tomorrow.
Especially if you have to make certain checkpoints because you've booked, tents and campsites that you have to be at because the park you're in, that's what it requires. So I would always underestimate your abilities to have a much more enjoyable time than to be stretched.
Yeah, especially on your some of your first trips solo.
Yeah.
Right? Like as time goes on, you'll get better at, estimating your distances that you can do.
Yeah, it all depends on terrain and time of the year and and then the other thing too is I might steer away from going backcountry in the fall. That's the most dangerous time of the year. Late summer, fall, when you've got fluctuating temperatures from shorts weather throughout the day to like sweater weather at night, and it could be rainy. Yeah. That can be really dangerous.
Because if it's winter, it's cold.
You just wear one kind of clothing,
Yeah, but when you're dealing with one day could be shorts and a t-shirt, and the next day is single digits and raining, that's hypothermia weather.
Yeah, and when you're wet and cold, like when you're wet, you're cold.
Yeah.
And then if the temperatures are lower, that's super dangerous. So spring and fall, be wary of that, but in particular fall because you're going into the colder. You're already pretty used to summer, so you're not used to the fall.
Yeah.
So that'd be another thing I'd just be very conscious of. If you're going to do that, certainly go to a campground maybe, car camping and you're just on your own.
Yeah.
But really, being tired is when you cause injury. That's when injuries make poor decisions. Just making sure you know how to read trails and maps and we talked about this in another episode, I think, about safety essentials or essentials to hiking, even when you go hiking for a day.
Yeah.
That's actually really another dangerous time because you don't have what you need to
camp out for the night
if you have to.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the biggest things that happens when you're on a trek is you don't look back to see, you don't establish landmarks. You don't look back to see
where you came from.
Especially if you have to double back.
Mm-hmm.
So things don't look familiar. So you should be constantly looking at your compass, your navigation tool, whatever, to make sure you're on the right trail.
Yep. And stop it, because if the trail's really rugged, you're looking at your feet, right? So stop regularly and look around.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be for long, but it's one of those things. It's very easy to cover a whole bunch of ground staring at your feet so you don't trip on rocks and roots. That then when you get to a point where you're not sure where you are, you have no idea what anything it was supposed to have looked like.
And because you're doing more of that and you're constantly checking your map, you're going to be slower than you normally would with your friends when you're chatting it up and just la going. And you are on the right trail and you're kind of half paying attention.
Yeah.
Right? So again, more reason to consider taking us, covering less ground.
A little more conservative than you might do in a group.
Yeah. Those would be my top tips. Otherwise, I'd definitely say go check out our podcast about intro to backpacking, where we talk about gear, food management, emergencies, like all that. Those are really good tips if you haven't done it.
And if you're just doing like day hike solo, because that's a viable type of solo adventure, look at our articles on the 10 essentials for hiking, so that even on a day hike, you're taking what you need. Because maybe one of the most common things is people not taking a headlamp because it's like they're not planning to be out at dark.
The biggest things. That's a big reason why people get lost and hurt as a result of, because they trip and fall. And,
so even if it's just a day hike, having those 10 essentials with you. We did an episode on the 10 essentials,
yes,
didn't we? Yeah, okay. Yeah. So you can listen to the episode, you can read the articles. It's something that we cover pretty extensively.
Yeah.
To be safe.
So I think those are the key things about solo camping, and I don't think there's anything else to talk about, is there? As far as the...
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is with anything, baby steps, right? Try something small.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you get more comfortable, expand,
Yeah.
you know? Or you can be like our friend Kaylee, who her first her first foray into this kind of stuff was to hike the Pacific Crest Trail. No training, no backpacking experience.
And she did it. Because what's the percentage of people that actually complete it?
It's pretty low, like 20%.
She did well.
Yeah.
It's incredibly. So we hope we don't scare you off, right, about some of the actual risks and what to pay attention to. It is incredibly rewarding, both when I did it at a car camping site and then when I went backcountry. When I went backcountry, I was nervous, which is why I had somebody to communicate with.
Yeah.
Right. But the fact that they were watching out for me and they were checking in on me made me feel a lot more comfortable with the fact that there were people around. Right.
Yeah, because and if you do go backcountry, don't pick something super remote your first time.
No.
Right. Pick something that you're guaranteed you're going to run into people. Right.
Yeah.
And don't. For instance, like we've got a trail in here in Ontario called the Lacoche Silhouette Trail in Killarney Provincial Park. Well, it's an 80-kilometer loop that doesn't really have many spots you can bail on.
Yeah.
Right. So once you start it,
You got to commit to it.
you're kind of committed to it. Whereas if you get into a trail network that has, you know, a lot of connector trails,
And
you know,
exits, yeah.
then you can, you know, bail without, you know, because say something like Coach Silhouette, let's say you're at the halfway point, you're 40K in. Well, you can either complete it or double back 40K.
Yeah. The Morrison Trail I did at Tracy Ridge.
Well, Allegheny National Forest.
Allegheny National Forest. That was a good one.
Yeah, because it's a maze of trails.
Yeah, and I think I did 26 kilometers that day. It was a lot. And then I found out that it was going to rain, so I had to. I didn't bring my tarp. I think I didn't bring my tarp, so I had to turn back.
You didn't bring your tarp.
No, I was saving my campsite. I was just going to go out for the night, and then the forecast changed. And I saw, fuck. And I actually have a really good video of me making like all these little vlog accounts. Like as I was going, I'm like, okay, we got a situation here. You know, I'm like, I got to go back. I'm going to get wet.
Oh, you left your tarp at the other campground.
I did. Right. It was just going to be an overnight thing, but the weather changed. Right.
Yeah, but...
yes, you shouldn't do that.
No.
I know.
Learn from Catherine, please.
I'm really good at teaching people what not to do.
Yeah.
Happens to me often, but that's how you learn.
Yeah.
Anyways, I made it back. I was super tired. Yeah, it just is what it is. But but it's definitely worthwhile doing.
Yeah, like it's that kind of thing. Things that push you outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know, where you confront them voluntarily. That's how you grow. Right? And, you know, that's what we're called the Part-Time Adventure Podcast, you know, infusing adventure into your life and all that kind of thing. But at the heart of what this is about growth. It's about being the best version of yourself, right? And, you know, the reality is, you know, anybody that tells everybody, oh, you're just wonderful the way you are, it's like we all can be better, right? We can all, you know, be kinder, stronger, you know, braver. You know, like life is a journey where never settle. Like I saw this cool T-shirt that said, you know, proud but never satisfied.
Nice.
You know, so be proud of what you've done. You know, and take breaks here and there, right? Like, you know, you don't have to have the nose to the grindstone 24/7. But always strive for more, right? Always find new ways to grow. And as you age, those ways change.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know, I'm 51 and got sexy all of a sudden.
You're always sexy in my books, babe.
Yeah, well, that's why we're together. So, yeah, hopefully you guys learned a little bit about solo trekking. You know, if you got any questions, just go to our website, livewildradio.com, and send us a note. You can at the contact us or just right at the bottom of the homepage. You can send us a message and we'll reply to you if you have more questions. And if you have even questions unrelated to this episode, feel free to go on and ask questions about other things. We're always looking at, supplying the information that you guys want to hear. And we're happy to put that in. So until next time, I'm Winston.
I'm Catherine.
And remember to work hard
and play dirty.